Hi everyone, Josh here on the 14th of May. Time is getting on as I record, but whether you watch this pre-race, after race, hopefully I say something informative and useful moving forward. I've had a couple of nibbles actually at York. I'll dive into those straight away. The first one, Air Force One, who was 6.2 on Betfair, who I've had a fairly strong nibble at actually. I thought that price was okay. I'll touch on him in a moment. And Cerulean Bay for David O'Meara in the 255 each way. I grabbed 6-1, 5 places. If he runs his race, builds on Haydock and runs to his best, I'll be shocked if he's not thereabouts. What could possibly go wrong? Right, Air Force One. As always, or what I'm trying to do is kind of use the excellent GG's links below, pace maps, as my kind of way in, and I still think it's an underused area. I talked myself out of Dark 30 yesterday, which was a bit idiotic given the pace. He was kind of last one off my list as I went for some bigger priced ones, but he went from 8s or 9s and drifted to about 20s on Betfair, so that was annoying, but we live and learn. This is the pace map for this York race, and the point to note, I suppose, on the straight track yesterday, it looked like high numbers were in real trouble. They looked like they were running in sludge. There was plenty of pace there. Even some of those in the middle on the near side never got into it. It looked like you needed to be in this kind of zone. Whether or not that plays out today, especially if there's a bit more rain around, we shall see. But I think that is a big question for this group down here. Certainly based on yesterday, of course, draw biases can flip, but I think the safe bet for now is certainly on the straight track is to kind of be in this zone. The interesting thing with Air Force One and this race, it obviously doesn't look like any horse is potentially going to get an easy lead, and on the flip side, are there 3, 4, 5 horses who may go really hard, take each other on and set this up for a horse that might sit just behind? And I'm hoping that's Air Force One. He doesn't have to be held up too far back. I would hope if he kind of raced prominent or the front of mid division, tracking 3 or 4 that may go behind him, and even I'm Next, who he tracked last time and beat cozily, I think, at Beverley, and he then faded. So yeah, that is where I'm kind of going, and yeah, he got on top of I'm Next there. So yeah, that was the kind of way in the interest was this kind of pace, and I suppose initially looking at this group of horses down here, as I've said before, in these kind of 5 furlong, 6 furlong sprints, GG speed ratings can be interesting, and especially kind of actually those at the top. So I suppose Lethal Nymph, but drawn high, could be interesting as a weigh-in on that basis. Wasn't for me. Air Force One is fairly high up there in the high 70s. If I just click on, well, I could start with Instant Expert actually. Let's call this good. They might have some rain around. The great thing here is obviously you can change the going good to soft. I've got this as flat, yeah, on the flat, and the handicap box, that's all form handicaps here. And yeah, you can kind of see that Air Force One, he is one of 3 handicap winners in the field. If I go all out, yeah, you'll see, sorry, Luna's won a yeah, handicap here as well. So yeah, one of 3 course winners. That's in the last 2 years. Obviously I could expand that totally, and you'll get Copper Knight here, superb veteran, Brazen Bolt as well, Bergerac wins, but there 1, 2, 3, kind of 5 that have won at the course. And York form, it does generally hold. It held yesterday in the sprint handicap, and again, not a bad place for shortlisting of those that have run well at the course and distance before, and that would generally pay over time at York, especially at these festival meetings. So yeah, he does well. Ground is no problem, and he won't mind if there's a spot of rain. He might well be better with the sting taken out of the ground anyway. If I look at the last 2 years, and then you've got the place as well, and clearly kind of placing and thereabouts at class 2 level in these competitive handicaps is no bad thing. You've got the ratings down here. Some of these are plenty high enough above kind of last winning marks and have questions. Air Force One's only £2 above that win at Beverley, which was cosy, and he'd have done it a shade more easy if he'd have if the gaps had come in time. I like his course record. He actually, maybe this ground was too firm and they just went a bit too quick for him on his first go here. Ground eased a bit there and he won well off 78. Was a bit unlucky not to get space and get out around here last August. Not beaten very far at all off 84. And then again in September, ran a really good race off 87. Obviously, ideally, it'd have been 5-6 to 1. As of what may have been each way bet to nothing, but I've gone on the nose. And yeah, his class form, I think he's got the class to do well here. If I just touch on the horse briefly, and the kind of things that crossed my mind, 3 from 12 6 places. He's still unexposed for me. There's still more to come as a 5-year-old. Like I said, he had that good York form round here last season. They then dipped into the all-weather a bit, which didn't necessarily seem to suit, and then he had a break and returned with a decent win at Beverley. Like I said, he did it a shade cosily. He's very good at tracking a strong pace. He clearly likes a big field. Some of this form down here worked out fairly well. Also produced a few winners in and around a few well handicapped horses as well. Racing Post rating 97. I always like when they do a fairly big figure above the mark they won off, it kind of if they're in form. I think that's always a solid sign as well, that their mark could be workable and something I like to look at, and just another box ticked, I suppose. And that was his second highest Racing Post rating after and matching the one at York around here in September. So again, that indicates to me he is progressive. He's back here kind of near enough a career best, arguably. He's had a run. He should be fit. Trainer jockey in the last year. There's a few stats backing up. Jeff Oldroyd, PJ McDonald, they do well together, and whatever he does here, that might be a trainer jockey combo you wish to note and focus on. And again, I can dive into the trainer jockey combination. Here you go. We could just look at handicaps as well, and so on and so forth at the course. As you can see, they're probably due a win. 0 from 12, 5 places. Obviously, Air Force One is responsible for a couple of those close finishes, but for a small yard, they're pretty decent stats in fairness. And clearly the horse has no issue here as a course and distance winner. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it for him. What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, looking at trainers' records with last time out winners is always useful. The AE, the impact value, especially if it's above 1, that means they're performing above par for the training ranks in terms of last time out winners, which is always a solid basis as well. Yeah, they have York winners, a small yard, I think, in good enough form, and the horse was clearly in form when last seen 29 days ago. That race has produced a subsequent winner as well. You can see some of the subsequent winners out of these last 2 York performances as well. So those races had some substance. And that's him, really. I'm not going to flick through too many others. The other thing I would say, looking at trends and kind of when you look at odds as well, this isn't historically a race which has thrown up monster price winners. It had a 25 to 1 winner in 2014, kind of 10-14, but generally the rest have been 8 to 1 or shorter. 7 to 2 last year, a couple of 5 to 1 shots, 11.5. So it's generally been a race the market has got fairly spot on. And again, using such trends and price trends can help you shortlist and home in. You know, the market is so sophisticated these days, the odds compilers and then the early money, the morning money, the money leading up to the race, of course, plenty of AI models and big syndicates using models and everything else. And I do think possibly the market's getting potentially a bit sharper at times, but certainly when looking at race trends, and yeah, if liking something nearer the top of the market, you know, looking at the historical odds profiles isn't a bad place to focus on from shortlisting purposes as well. But as I said, it's generally paid not to be too clever over time in this race. We'll see if that's the case again today, of course. I've obviously gone through all the other runners as I do, and putting my a kind of decent bet down on my own kind of 1 or 2 point stake level. And given all the above and the draw and everything else, as I've mentioned, he was the one for me. There was nothing else really here which took my fancy, and I thought this probably wasn't as deep as some of those York handicaps he ran in last year. The other one I will mention is Katie Scott's Luna A Inbir Nis. Well, I haven't pronounced that right, have I? Whatever this one's name is, did win on seasonal return last year, although a 2-runner race. I thought some of these York efforts, class 4, there was a class 2 here, but on some figures, I think they might be slightly below what the selection has done. But he is an each way price at kind of 11 to 1 or so. And I should say, she could be open to more improvement as a 4-year-old. Just whether or not she will need the run in this setup, and you really will need to be fit here, I think, and also could get into a pace battle. But for those who maybe want more of an each way nibble, possibly this one to keep an eye on, because loves a big field, clearly hardy, tough, a battler, knows how to win. And I suspect more to come this season. She's probably Katie Scott's best horse, I imagine, and on ratings and kind of consistency, open to progress. So kind of for notebooks moving forward, I will hope today isn't a day at kind of 11 or 12 to 1. Like I said, wouldn't necessarily put you off an each way bet, given the course form may well be fit enough, drawn in the right place, prominent racer, but will she get into a pace battle? But I suppose that's the other interesting one as well. Anyway, that's that race. Let me quickly flick on to the next. I like Cerulean Bay again, each way with 5 places. This pace map and the draw stats that underpin kind of homing in on green and orange, as I've previously said, is never a bad thing. Like I said, you can even change the ground for all these stats as well. I thought he looked like being in the right spot. He can race handy. You've got Point Linus, who you would think would go forward. Mersky might keep him honest. You might get 1 or 2 from out wide that are forced to go forward and then tuck in. Cerulean should be able to get out and hopefully sit in 4th, 5th or 6th, maybe 1 off the rail, but he really should be in a no excuses position, and then challenging up the middle to far side at the course, which has appeared to be the place to be. You generally want to be prominent or leading. You can see the stats there, and I hope he should go a bit further forward. So that kind of pace profile again was a way in there. You can see the age of horses. 5-year-olds have done pretty well. Age 4 or 5 generally has been the place to be on recent years. Again, looking at the odds, not many biggies. 2015, but the rest of them 10 to 1 or shorter, and even kind of 8 to 1 or shorter in recent years. Again, going back to those comments I made about the market and odds compilers and everything else, it hasn't generally been a race to get too clever in over time, and focusing on that 8 to 1, 9 to 1 or shorter bunch in this race moving forward as a shortlisting method may not be a bad approach. What did I thought he was a decent each way bet. If I just touch on him as a horse, 7 from 26, 12 places. He knows how to win. He loves big fields. He's only 5. He kind of looked progressive a couple of seasons ago, but he continued that progress last year. He won off 100 at Goodwood, 108 RPR. One of the things I liked is he won't mind if there is rain. They could potentially get various showers. This ground could ease, and clearly that on his form, at least to date, and some of his profile, he seems versatile, and that's not going to be an issue. And actually, again, taking sting out of the ground may be a positive. I like the fact he's got course form. I suppose it was this run in the Clipper over the course and distance which I found interesting and latched onto. There could be a niggle or a thought process that maybe he will peak later in the season, but I'll touch on his return run in a minute. Bullet Point was highly tried after that, and maybe this was his Gold Cup at that time. He probably needed the run on his return in May, and he was pitched into a Group 3 after this, winning off 100. Nice horse. Ramuz is the one who gives some strength to the form, winning a listed, going close in another listed. and was taken out because of the ground. I think at Newmarket recently, or another race potentially, went quite well fancy, but he's clearly a classy horse. And, you know, that was good form, kind of away from the rest, but some in behind have run well in decent races as well. I thought that was, a decent kind of course and distance effort. As I open up the race card again. And yeah, I just thought he was based on that form, he's got course form. That race has worked out well. He then ran really well in some solid Goodwood handicaps as well. He rarely runs a bad race, and he's got decent, solid, hardy handicap form. Like I said, around here as well. I really liked his return run at Haydock. This course has produced, running at the course before this race, has produced 6 winners in recent years, and those sent off 8-1 or shorter of 3 from 4. So hopefully he can back those stats up as well. He's an 8 furlong horse, really. He was held up, sent off 12-1. This has to have been the plan. I suspect he needed the run, not the usual go-to David O'Meara jockey on board. He was patiently ridden. He was a bit outpaced. And ran well, and actually the second from that race, which I just wanted to touch on. The horse just in front of him, he was closing. He was hardly given a hard race either, but he was closing with relative ease, making me think this mark is still workable as well, and that he might have taken another step forward. But Great Acclaim helped give substance to the form, running a very good second in the Victoria Cup, which is always a deep, hot handicap at this time of year, at Ascot last weekend. So I think there's some solid, that's solid form. And again, those of you who watched these videos before, or just starting to, or read any of my stuff, you'll know I've talked about hot form before, and that is always a decent hook as well. Who have the horses been running against? What have those horses gone on to do subsequently? Do they give substance to the form? Do they give you an idea on the handicap mark? And then obviously analysing the race they're going into and whether or not you think it's as good. Interestingly, again, he put in a career best Racing Post rating in that run, 109. I just thought that was decent, and a career best top speed figure as well, 104. That was miles best. So he's coming here on the back, on those figures, on the back clearly of a decent run. On that basis, I was happy to play Cerulean Bay, and each way, as I said, and with any luck, as I load this race card up again, he can run a big race. He's beaten plenty of these as well, like I said, drawn in the right place. The one question, O'Meara hasn't been banging in the winners at York. Like I said, the horse's form and course record has made me overlook that a bit. He is 0 from 29, 5 places in the race. I suppose that niggles me. I do have 5 places to play with. He has gone close. This must have been the plan. And like I said, given the horse's course form around here, and specifically this effort in a decent Clipper Logistics handicap at the Ebor Festival, always a deep race. That has tilted me that way, and I suppose overlooked the yard recent course record and record in the race. I like the 2 above him in the top of the market. They look short enough. Shout would go well at his best. May appreciate the rain. Yard have won this. Yard are in form. Does have some questions after the last twice. He was an each way price. He no longer is. He's been well backed and might well go off favourite. He may appreciate any rain that falls as well. And Haggis's other horse, Seaforce, clearly a short price. I thought short enough. Thirsk, 1 from 59 horses running there going into this. The Yard have won this. They're 1 from 9 runners. He's got course form as well, but does need a step forward again as a 4-year-old, now off 95. You could argue potentially a question over that mark in this class of race, now against older horses, having been running in the 3-year-old only handicaps at times last year. And I'm hoping Cerulean Bay is kind of a bit older, a bit more battle hardened, might well be enough. But in any case, at 6-1 or so, 11.5, 11-2, 5 places to play with. I thought he looked a really good each way bet. Famous last words. Hopefully he bounces out, like I said, sits in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, tracks any pace, kind of edges out off the rail turning in, can make a move off that rail, kind of not necessarily down the middle, but in the right spot. And if he settles and builds on Haydock and gets to the levels of his run here last season, he really won't be far away. Outside of the three at the top of the market, I suppose I didn't really like anything else to my eye, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, with that said, I will shut up, and if you've got this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully I've said something interesting again. As always, there's a link below to a free GG's account, which everyone should have if they have any interest in finding their own winners and solving their own puzzles, and also a 1 day £30 £30-day £1 trial as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully one or both of those can hit the back of the net and run big races. Cheers.